Hello there and welcome. So it is just after the first of the year, and I thought it would be a really good time to focus a little on detoxing. And there's nothing magical about that. The body will detox on its own, but we have to give it the sort of right ingredients to do that. And what we're going to do today is focus on breathing. Surprise, surprise. But we're also going to do some special sort of rhythmic movements that will help with sort of exiting the nasties out of your bloodstream, out of your body. And it's all happens so naturally when you align the breath and movement. I've also designed this practice for a sense of grounding. So let's go ahead and jump right in. If you will, come into a comfortable seat of your choice. And just start to feel yourself settle. And just notice as you begin to settle, sometimes tension will present itself to you a little more clearly. So just notice it, and with your awareness, often you can just ease any tension that you might feel in the body. Remember, the trouble spots are generally around the shoulders, jaw, throat. They may be somewhere different with you, but just get really calm, quiet, and just go inward for a few breaths. And once we've all sort of arrived, body and mind, we're going to start to focus on the breathing a little more. So just start to lengthen and soften your breath. And we generally try to get our breath to at least a 6 count on the inhales and the exhales. Just realize that some of you might be able to go a little longer, maybe to an 8 count. So this is your practice. So I just want you to just come right up to the edges of what your body wants to do today. And when you've lengthened and softened the breath, just begin to introduce that quality of three-dimensional breathing into the body. So when you inhale, of course, you want to feel it from the collarbones all the way to the bottom of the rib cage and outward. And if you have any inhale left, if you can go a little longer, you want to bring it even into the abdominal area. And when you exhale, you want to just have a nice soft feeling of release. So we're not trying to grind here and press, press, press. I just want you to let it go and maybe continue the exhale as naturally as you can for as long as you can. So just try breathing like this for the next few breaths. Each inhale and exhale is really long, or as long as you can comfortably make it. And you're also trying to feel the breath in the body three-dimensionally. And if you want to have a little natural pause after each inhale and exhale, feel free to do that. Just really let the breath start to feel really natural to you in this way. So just continuing your long, slow breaths just like that. You can slip your eyes open now. Just let the hands slide off your thighs, your lap. Turn the palms outward. And on your next inhale, bring the arms right up over the head. Really go slow and feel everything, the movement and the breathing as you reach up. Separate your fingers so that on the next inhale, you're ready to reach even more from the sits bones pressing down. You get the grounded quality so that you can really reach up and find length. And nice and slowly, as you exhale, bring those arms right down. This time, as you bring the arms down, we're going to try to slip them behind the back. And you're going to interlock your hands just behind the back. If you need to bend the elbows a little bit to be comfortable in through the torso, that's fine. Have a quality the next time you inhale, trying to broaden the collarbones by rolling the shoulders up, back, and down. If you can, you're straightening the arms as much as you can. It's not required. It's only if it feels natural to do that. And then as you exhale, bring the hands closer into the spine if you've raised them away, and just release nice and easy. Bringing the arms, or rather hands, right to the heart. Folding right at the heart. Namaste. And let's go ahead now and just come to the floor. We won't be here long, but we're just going to have a nice feeling of groundedness on the floor. So come on down with me to the floor. And when you first get there, go ahead and spread, or rather extend the legs and extend the arms also over your head. And just to have your first stretch of the practice, just choose, would you like to hook your thumbs together maybe? And if that doesn't feel good, maybe you can just put your thumbs straight back. If none of that works, you can just reach as far as you can so that on the next inhale, you're flexing your feet, reaching with the arms and the legs, and get as long as you can. And then let's release on the exhale. So it feels like maybe your arms are a little bit wider, legs are maybe a little bit wider. So what's actually happening is your arms and legs are pointing in the same direction as the four corners of your mat. And just have a couple breaths and just feel the heaviness of your body sinking to the floor. Just notice the feeling of support you get lying on the floor like this. And on your next inhale, focus more on the right side. This is called just a pandicular stretch. And so you're focusing the right side, reaching with the arm, right leg, maybe flexing the foot of the right foot. And then you're releasing. Feels really good just to let go. And then the next inhale, you're reaching with the left. Feel the stretch all the way to the midsection, outward in either direction. And then you're releasing. Next inhale, again, let's get both arms and legs involved. Nice little X shape in the body. And then release. So using your breath in this way, of course, you're actually encouraging any detox. So nice full breathing, nice full exhaling in particular. Bending the knees, putting the soles of the feet on the floor, getting yourself comfortable, bringing the right thigh towards the chest, interlocking your hands right behind or rather in front of the right shin. Stretch the left leg out and just have a couple breaths just like this. And so you're bringing the knee as close in, of course, as you can on the exhales. Feel any effects that has in your body. So we're really tuned into sensations here, and you are 100% present with yourself throughout this practice. On your next inhale, let's go ahead and raise that right leg, stretch it up, and just have a little bending and extending of the knee. And then the next time you've extended the leg, just leave it there, press out through the heel, release just a little bit so you can do little ankle circles. Reverse the direction. And one more time, establish the longest stretch you can from that right heel all the way down to the right sits bone. And then the next time you exhale, let's take that long straight leg to the floor, a little tone in the abdomen here. Once the right leg is on the floor, bend the left knee, bring the left thigh towards the body, interlock your hands just above the left shin, and as you exhale, just draw the thigh close into the body. Notice any sensations that causes anywhere in your body. And just hold that for a couple of breaths, releasing the head and the shoulders to the floor. And again, you're just aware of any tension anywhere in the body, and you just allow yourself to let it go. So that the next time you inhale now, you're stretching the left leg up, pressing out through the heel, and then bend and extend the left knee a few times. And the next time you've extended the left leg, just leave it in the extended position. Press out through the heel. Just feel that length in the back of the leg. And release just a tiny bit so you can start to draw circles with your left ankle. Then you reverse the circle. And then one more time, establish that long straight leg as straight as you can get it. And you're as long as you could be from the left heel all the way down to the left sits bone. And then you go ahead and release on the exhale, little firmness in your abdominal core. Very nice. And then bend both knees again. Draw both knees so that they're pointing straight up to the ceiling, and bring your calves, your shins parallel to the floor and the ceiling. And start to feel that abdominal core engagement. So, of course, you're feeling on the exhales, you're feeling the tummy coming closer in towards the spine. But what I want you to feel is a definite little drawing in and curling up slightly of your pubic bone. So when that happens, can you feel your low back a little more pressing into the floor? So make sure you're feeling that. And then can you keep that level of engagement and just point the feet more forward? So you're keeping the shins parallel with the floor, and the knees are coming forward of the hip joint. So of course it's more challenging in your core. Just find the sweet spot where yes, you feel the challenge, but you can sustain this for a few breaths, and you want to be sure you're feeling the low back pressed into the floor and a definite drawing in where you feel the pubic bone coming inward and curling up slightly, as if it's trying to point to the tailbone behind it internally. And after anywhere from 3 to 5 breaths, you'll probably want to take a little break from that. So just draw your knees in. Maybe let's separate our thighs a little wider. Cup your knees in your hands and just rock a little bit side to side. And then let's come back to the starting or the position we were just in. And just one more time, let's just have a little challenge in your core. So first, your knees are stacked right up above the hip joints, and you're placing the calves in that parallel position with the floor. And you're really making sure your core is engaged. So on the exhale, you want to suck that tummy button in towards the spine, and you feel the pubic bone curling in and up. And your task is to hold that level of engagement through several breaths. And then just a little bit, let the knees go forward of your hip joint just until you feel a little more grab of a challenge. It grabs just a little bit. And then hold. You've got to do chest breathing so you can really hold the low back towards the floor and the pubic bone curled in and up. You're doing great. This isn't easy work. Very internal work, but it's not easy work. And when you've had enough, like I say, 3 to 5 breaths is often enough. And then bring the knees closer in. Separate the knees one more time and cup those hands. And then again, let's just rock a little bit side to side. And you're breathing really full and long, aren't you? And then coming to stillness, bringing the thighs together and just letting the feet come back to the floor. And from this position, just cross the right leg over the left. And maybe use your elbows to help, and you're just going to offset your hips just a tiny bit towards the left. So pick them up and set them back down just an inch or two towards the left. And on an exhale, we're going to send those knees over to the right. And you're just coming to your point of comfort. So you want to feel a little, definitely a stretch and a twist, but you don't want to go too far. And when you reach that edge, just have 3 long, slow breaths. And just escorting out of the body everything that needs to go. And then when you're ready to come out, you want to be looking straight up to the ceiling, a little firmness in your elbows, pressing into the floor, and on an exhale, come on back out. So from here, of course, you're uncrossing, bringing your hips back to center, and you're recrossing, this time left leg over the right. It's crossed nice and tight, so you'll get a slightly different position of a twist in your spine. From here, press into the elbows so you can just offset your hips just a tiny bit more to the right, an inch or two over to the right. So then when you exhale, you're bringing the knees over to the left. And just notice the difference between the two sides. I certainly do. And so you're just being patient, you're breathing, you're trying to encourage that right shoulder blade to stay to the floor. And you're breathing really long, full breaths. You're probably feeling quite a bit of sensation in the right side body somewhere. And just notice everything. And focus on letting go everything you don't need every time you exhale. And then as we come back, you're just pressing into your elbows, and on an exhale, you're bringing those legs back to center, and you're uncrossing and bringing both knees into the chest from here. And just have a little rhythmic breath, nice and separated in the thighs. But when you exhale, just encourage the knees coming closer in towards the armpits or towards the chest. And when you inhale, it can come away. Just have 3 breaths like that. Still focused on long, slow breaths. Very nice. And so when you've had enough of that, we're going to just roll over to the side here. And from here, we're going to come all the way over to our tummies. Laying face down on the floor, folding your hands one over the other so you can have a little pillow for your forehead. And just swish your hips back and forth so your low back feels comfortable. And just for a moment, feel your abdomen on the floor. And again, feel the supported, held quality of just noticing the fact that your body is supported by the floor. And then flex your toes under. And from this position, see if you can push or press or point your heels back to the wall behind you. As you do that, your maybe thighs and knees come away from the floor. Then the quads, the front of your thighs are really engaged. And get a sense in this position that you've got some space in your low back. So it's nice to just think of your tailbone also trying to point to the wall behind you. And then you want to hold that for 3 to 5 breaths. And release, knees and thighs come back to the floor. And when they do, you're letting the toes point inward, the heels point outward. So your feet are in a little bit of a diamond shape. And just have a couple breaths like this. And then come on back with the toes to the floor. The heels are pointing up towards the ceiling. Toes are pressed into the floor though. And then on the next inhale, you're sending those heels, pointing those heels back towards the wall behind you just a little bit more so you can really engage in those quads. Feel the strength in the legs, and your tailbone is pointing to the wall behind you. You've got a little bit of more space in your low back. You feel the lengthening all the way from your gluteal muscles down towards your heels. Very good. And then you're releasing the thighs and knees back to the floor and letting those toes point inward. And just have a couple breaths here. And then you're releasing. Let the forehead come to the floor. Draw those fingers right back towards your shoulders. We're just going to have just tiny little baby cobras. We've only just got started, so let's be careful here. As you inhale, just traction the floor back just a little bit as you raise your heart up. Tailbone is pointing between your heels, and just lift your heart a little bit. As you exhale, release back down. So just breathe into a little baby cobra like this. As you inhale, you're lifting the heart, lifting your head, just tractioning back slightly with the elbows and hands, and releasing as you exhale. Inhaling one more time, bring those shoulders back and down. Lots of space in between your shoulders and your ears. Can you hold this little cobra for another breath? Nice long back of the neck. And let's release. Once the forehead is on the floor, let's press into the hands. Use your arms a little bit, and we're coming right up to a tabletop position. Set yourself up in your tabletop, looking right down between the hands. Find your inner hands. Find all the points you know to look for. As you exhale, just let your hips sink back towards your heels. Elbows are right, can touch the floor. It's absolutely fine. Take that exhale all the way as long as you can, so your low back and your neck have plenty of time to release. And then on the inhale, pressing into the backs of your, or tops of your feet rather, coming into the starting position. Press into your inner hands, broaden the collarbones. And then exhale, let's sink right back, hips towards the heels. Elbows may be touching the floor, it's fine if they do. And release as much as you can. Inhaling, coming back up again. Little lift in your heart. This time as you exhale, you're going to bring the right hip and right shoulder a little closer together as you look behind yourself. And then inhale, looking forward, little lift in your heart. Find your inner hands. And then exhale over to the left. So you have a little side bend on the left side now. And as you inhale, a little lift in your heart. And exhaling, hips come back towards the heels. Just release right back down again. And remember, have that extra moment when you really let go of your exhale, where you let the neck relax, you let your low back relax. And then as you inhale, pressing into the tops of your feet, coming back up. Find your inner hands as you lift, little lift in the heart, and then exhale over to the right. Shoulder and hip attempt to come closer together as you look behind yourself. Inhaling, lifting the heart, and exhaling over to the left. As you inhale to center, this is the last sequence, so let's really give it all we've got. As you exhale, sink hips back towards the heels. Elbows touch the floor. Just let that exhale extend as much as it wants to. As you inhale, you're pushing into the tops of the feet, then coming right back. Inner hand slightly pressing more down as you look forward. As you exhale, looking over to the right as your right hip curls up or curls towards the right. Inhale, looking forward, heart lifts. And exhale, looking behind yourself to the left. And inhale, back to center. And as you exhale, we're going to come right back, hips towards the heels. All the way down, releasing the exhale as long as you can. And from here, let's bring our hands a little further ahead, and of course the elbows will no longer be on the floor. Find your inner hands even in this position. So you may feel a slightly different engagement when you find your inner hands, maybe more towards the internal part of your upper arm. Just feel what little teeny movements do in your body. Very nice. And then press a little more into the right hand. Little lift in the left side of your chest and armpit as you look to the left. Releasing back to center. Nice long spine. Press a little more into the left hand and lift just the right side of your chest slightly. Look under your right upper arm. And then release back to the center. Coming on up to a tabletop position, your hands will be probably slightly forward. Perfect position for your downward facing dog. So flex the toes under, push the floor away, and let's come on into downward facing dog. Really long, slow breaths here. And maybe if you need to walk on the spot, you know you can do that now. Coming onto the tiptoes, I want you to try to really investigate, what do you need right now? What would feel good in your downward facing dog? Little movement, that would be really good. Any little movement you can introduce would be great. And let's make it really easy on ourselves now. So let's exhale, bringing the knees to the floor. And then can you bring your right foot forward into a low lunge? From the low lunge, flex the back toes under and come on into a high lunge. Does this feel okay? So you need to assess, is this okay? And what can you do to make it a little bit more comfortable? So maybe it's just making sure that this front foot is really the anchoring foot and the knees over the ankle. Or maybe it's wiggling around a little bit with the back foot. Make sure those back toes are not skewed off to the side. They want to face forward like the front toes. Are you still okay? Let's just have a little movement here where you start to exhale and you push back a little bit. Hips go back and you start to straighten the front leg. Now, many of us will feel better if the back toes come a little closer to the front in this position. If that's the case for you, remember you can just wiggle around and change the position to suit yourself. As you inhale, let's come on back into the high lunge. Let those hips level out as much as you can. Let your breastbone get long and your collarbones broad. As you exhale, come on back into the pyramid type pose. Really feel the stretch in the back of the front leg, but then shift your awareness and feel the ball of the back foot and a little more stretch in your back calf. And just notice that's with awareness, everything starts to shift. As you inhale, come on back into the high lunge, look forward. And then as you exhale, come on back into the pyramid pose. And as you inhale, come on back into the high lunge. And from your high lunge, let the back knee come to the floor. You can relax the top of the back foot to the floor if you'd like. Let your hips settle for just a moment, and then let's bring our hands so that they're just behind that front knee. And start to situate yourself with this so you can feel a real rootedness through the front foot, but you feel like your hips are squared to the front. You can press into those interlocked hands and press into the front heel and lift your heart. From here, keep your right hand on the right knee and let the left arm just simply come down. As you inhale, you're raising up with the left arm, still pressing nice and firmly with your hand into the right knee, and feel yourself reaching up and feel the length in the whole left side of the body when you do that. If all is well, on your next exhale, can you just bring that left arm back? Point it right behind you, maybe look back a little bit. And then as you inhale, you can let the left arm come down like a little pendulum. And once it's there, let the left arm come to the floor, let the left hand rather come to the floor, and the right. Coming back into your high lunge, you'll need to tuck the toes under, and your high lunge. If all is still well for you, we're going to inhale. Right arm comes up, out to the side, and there you are in a little twist, reaching up nice and high. Remember, you're still focusing on the breath. It has priority always. Nice, long, slow breaths. And so as you exhale, bringing that arm right back down again. And from here, you have two choices. You can come right back into downward facing dog. If you'd rather do it a really gentle way, you can drop your knee, and come back into tabletop, and then come into downward facing dog. Your choice, and just have a couple breaths in your downward facing dog. Make sure the head and neck is relaxed so you could nod your head quite easily if you wanted to. And exhaling, dropping the knees to the floor. And then we're coming into the lunge on the other side. So the left foot has to come forward here. And from here, we'll flex our toes under, come on in to the high lunge. And you're just setting this up. You know what to do now. You're squaring your hips, making sure back leg is comfortable, and making sure that the front leg is really your strong foundation. It's the anchor. When all is well, we'll start that little rhythmic little vinyasa. As you exhale, you're coming into a little bit of a pyramid pose. And remember, you can always step the back foot a little forward to get the most out of that if you'd like. And when you inhale, just transition back into the high lunge. Your breath is long and slow, and you're taking every exhale to its conclusion. Let your breath guide the way, and you're aware of all sensations, everything that's happening in your body. And so the next time you're in a high lunge, go ahead and just let that right knee come to the floor. And now you're in a low lunge. And when you're ready, you're bringing the hands interlocked right behind that front knee. And when all is well, you can just let the right arm rather dangle. The left hand is still on the knee, but it's nice just to point the fingers forward. And then as you inhale, raise the right arm. And just notice that stretch all the way down the body to the very top of the right hip joint. If you're okay, on your next exhale, you can just bring that right arm back. Maybe look behind yourself. You're making sure that this front knee stays your anchor, so don't let it wobble. And when you inhale, right arm just comes down like a little pendulum. And you're going to reach the right hand to the floor, and then the left. Tuck your toes under, come into the high lunge. If you're still okay, we're going to try a little twist. a little more weight into the right hand so that you can inhale and bring that left arm straight out and up. You want to feel, sometimes it's nice just to point that back heel back a little more. Just start to feel length from crown of the head all the way to that back heel. But you want to feel a bit of length from hand to hand as well. And let's release as you exhale. Hand comes back down. Square that pelvis. And then let the right knee drop to the floor. And come on back. And just widen the knees just a little bit. Let's all sink into pose of a child. You can create a little pillow for your forehead. Just rest your forehead on the forearms or on the tops of your hands. And really come back to your breath now. Make sure you're breathing really long, slow breaths. And slowly from here, we're going to come back first to tabletop. Let's go ahead and come into a downward facing dog again. But immediately from our downward facing dog, let's widen our feet and step a little closer together towards our hands rather. So your feet will be maybe onto the floor or at the very least onto the very sides of your mat. And then from here, sink your weight back towards your heels and maybe let the fingers drag a little closer towards your feet. The idea is to really start to feel lovely length, not only in your legs, but also in your spine, particularly in your spine. And so you feel your heels sort of rooting down, and that will set the stage for your legs to be able to be strong, and your spine to be able to stretch. From here, we're gonna bend our knees generously. And we're going to start to bring those fingers back, closer to the feet. Now, what I'd like us to do is to come up with a rounded spine. So to do that, you have to come up on an exhale with your tummy engaged and not on an inhale. So it's really simple. Lower your bums and start to feel the tailbone curling under. You might want to bring the elbows to the thighs if you're not really sure of your core strength. But eventually what you want to do is start to curl the tailbone under, and on an exhale, really feel the abdominal core engagement and come up with leg strength and core strength. So that's how we're all now going to meet in a standing position. Now that we're all at standing, come into a wider stance than mountain pose, a usual mountain pose. Maybe 2 feet away, your feet from each other. And just be here with your hands on your abdomen. Just feel yourself breathe for just a moment. Feel the feet really rooted into the floor. Come right back to your long, slow breaths. And we're going to do a little flow together, and I'm going to show you really slowly so you're clear on what you're doing. So with your left hand remaining on your tummy, right arm drops down. You're going to inhale the right arm right up over your head. Pressing into the feet, feeling the length as you reach up. As you exhale, you're going to bend the elbow, bend the knees, and start to come over into a little side bend towards the left. As you do that, you're just looking under your right upper arm. I want you to come down as low as feels comfortable and come over to a side bend as far as feels comfortable. And then you're inhaling and you're just exchanging one hand for the other and just making it nice and smooth. Right hand comes to the tummy, left arm comes right up over your head. Feel that length. As you exhale, bending the knees, bending the elbow, coming into a little side bend over towards the right now as you look towards the left, right up underneath your elbow or upper arm. And switch just like this. Inhaling, replacing hands. So now the left hand is on the tummy, right hand is over your head. And then when you exhale, bending the knees and coming into a side bend with a bent elbow as well. Just letting it feel really smooth and natural. Inhaling, switching, right hand to the tummy, reaching up nice and high with the left. Bending the knees, bending the elbows and coming into a lovely little side bend. Looking over to the left. And let's do one more time, either side. Switching the arms nice and gracefully. And then as you exhale, bending knees, bending the elbow, looking over to the side, strengthening those legs with those bent knees. And then inhaling, switching sides. Right hand to the tummy, left arm overhead. And coming into your side bend. Bent elbows, bent knees, looking over to the left. Now we'll just have a little switch in our in our movement. So as you inhale this time, coming back to straight center and bringing arms out to either side. As you exhale, bend the knees and bring the arms as if you're gathering up lots of energy, as if you're hugging a tree. Come down as low as you can, little tension in the arms. And then as you inhale, straightening the legs, straightening the arms, and coming back with the arms behind you like wings. You're straightening the arms, straightening the back, straightening the legs as much as you can. Really strong pose as you reach back. As we exhale, bend the knees, bring the arms forward. I want you to really curl the tailbone under and round the spine. Dip chin towards the chest as you come back to standing. So let's just try this. You'll get it really quickly now. With left hand to the tummy, you're inhaling, right arm over your head. Feeling that lovely length as you exhale. Bending the elbow, bending the knee. Coming into a little side bend. Looking over to the right. As you inhale, you're just switching sides, coming back up to a standing center position. Right hand comes to the tummy, left arm reaches up. As you exhale, you're bending the knees, bending the elbow. Now looking over to the left as you do a little side bend. And then as you inhale, coming back center with the torso, arms out side to side. Really feel the stretch. As you exhale, palms face each other as you bend the knees, bend the elbows, come down as low as you can, tension in the arms as you embrace that tree. As you inhale, you're straightening the legs, hinging at the hips as you bring your arms back, reach back, nice straight back, straight arms, legs as straight as you can get them, reaching back, feeling the effort. And then releasing as you exhale. Make sure the knees are bent. Arms come forward. And then you feel the tailbone scoop down. Chin comes towards the chest. And you come up with a nice rounded spine and really gathering the abdominal core. Lovely. As you inhale next, this time the right hand is on the tummy. The left arm reaches up. Reach up nice and high. Bend the knees. And come into your side bend, looking over to the left. Inhaling, switching hands, reaching up nice and high with the right arm. As you exhale, reaching over your head, bending elbows and knees, and looking over now to the right. Inhaling really long, slow, arms out to the sides. As you exhale, you're bending the knees. Nice strength in your arms as you round up. It's really like moving through treacle here. And then as you inhale, coming into the position where legs are straight, arms are straight, spine is straight. You can look straight down at your mat, feel the work in the pose. And then as you exhale, release completely. The knees begin to bend, arms come forward, and you feel that tailbone scoop underneath as you begin to come up to standing. Nice, long, slow breaths. And then all of us, we're going to stand right at the very tops of our mat. Our legs are going to be just a little wider than the usual Tadasana. Putting hands right to the heart. Little play in the knees so that when you inhale next, you can step back nice and long with the right leg. Dropping the arms to the sides of the body. Just make sure that the back toes are trying to point forward. Make sure you do any little remedy you need to do to make sure A, you've got your balance, and B, it really feels symmetrical as far as the weight in the right and the left legs. As you inhale, come into Warrior One, reaching up nice and high, and feel the lift from the rib cage away from your pelvis in the torso. Very nice. And then from here, if you'll exhale, hands right to the hips. Torso's nice and long. And just a little challenge here. I want you to start to bend and extend the back knee. So it might be minute. As you're doing that, make sure that the weight on your foot is happening evenly. You're not turning to the little toe side of the foot more. And you want to really make sure that's a balanced feeling in that back leg. You want to probably do this about 10 times if you can, if you're still with me on this. And when you've done that, come to stillness and raise your arms up one more time for Warrior One. And slowly, let's release the arms, release the legs. And remember, you want to take a couple little steps to come on up. It just feels better that way. Coming back into a Tadasana with slightly wider legs. And then hands to the heart. And then you're going to step back on the inhale. Now with the left leg, and you just take that moment you need to make sure the back toes are facing forward. Weight is distributed. It's almost certain that your back heel will be elevated off the floor slightly, and that's fine. Dropping the arms so that as you inhale, you're bending the front knee and rising up into your Warrior One. Really reaching, and you feel your chest lifting away from the pubic bone. And let's release just the arms. Hands come to the hips. Make sure everything's okay in the pose, that you're really focused with the right knee being the foundation here, so that we can bend and extend just the back leg. So you're actually trying not to move the front leg at all. This is actually really, really good for your hip joints and your knee joints if you do it with the right alignment. Really good strengthener for all the muscles in the upper leg. And again, you want to do this about 10 times if you can. And then come to stillness. Drop the arms so you can raise the arms again into a Warrior One. So you want to keep reaching, spreading out those fingers, reaching for the sky, but feeling the firm foundation in both your feet. And then releasing so that you can take a couple little steps to come forward, back into the mountain pose. So some of us might feel more comfortable standing on the wide aspect of your mat just for one a small little sequence at the end. So at the end of our standing sequences. So go ahead and separate your legs nice and wide. And feel the firm foundation through the feet. Hands are to the hips. And then begin to bend the knees and just notice what you want is your knees to track in a natural pattern where if your toes are pointed out, you want your knees to track in that same direction. So just make sure it feels good as you begin to come down. It doesn't feel like a strain. You're beginning to bend the knees. You're not poking your bums out behind you, but you're just sinking down nice and evenly. And you can slide those hands right down, maybe to the lower part of your thigh. So you can press a little bit once you get there with the hands. So maybe you can get a little taller through your torso. And now in this position, rooting down into your heels, you can hinge forward a little bit. Now your bums will go behind you. Your backs are nice and long as you lean forward and hinge forward at your hip joint. As you exhale next, bring the left shoulder more in midline with the body, and then raise the right side of your chest and the right shoulder and look behind yourself. And as you inhale, you're coming right back to the center. Nice long spine. You can press into the hands to encourage that. And then as you exhale, the right shoulder goes towards the midline. Left shoulder lifts up and the left side of your chest lifts up a little bit. And you can look behind yourself. And inhaling to center. Let's just do that 2 more times now on our own breathing. So you're exhaling and bringing the left shoulder towards the midline and just raising up a little bit on the right side chest. Looking behind yourself. And of course, when you inhale, you're coming back to a nice long center position. And exhale, right shoulder towards the midline, lifting the left side of your chest. Inhale, getting really long at center. 1 more time on your own breathing. You know what to do. You're exhaling into a twist. And you're inhaling to a nice long center. And when you've done that, we're going to try to round up. You can keep your hands right on your thighs. But as you exhale, think of the cat position. You're rounding the spine, chin coming towards the chest, tailbone tucking under. Dig into your heels. On your next exhale, you can come all the way up, maybe letting your arms go. Coming up to the nice vertical position, and then heeling and toeing a little bit closer together so you can give a little hop. Come on back to center. And from this standing position, let's all come back to the floor now. So just making sure now we've all come to the floor, and you're going to come to a position where your legs are extended out into the beginnings of staff pose or dandasana, and then you're going to separate your legs. And just as wide as you'd like them to be, and you're going to try to find your sits bones underneath you, placing your hands right in between here into the groins. And when you inhale, you're going to really feel the backs of the legs press into the floor, fingertips press into the floor, and try to get a little bit longer from breastbone to pubic bone. And when you exhale, you're going to come off that a little bit. Just a tiny rounding of the spine as you curl the tailbone under and chin comes towards the chest. As you inhale, so you think of your cat-cow that you know how to do. So when you inhale, you want to press into the backs of your legs as much as you can. That's comfortable. Press into the fingertips and find length between sternum, breastbone, and pubic bone. Exhale is slightly the other position. Of course, you know the cat position. And you're just doing this another time on your own breathing. Finding real length, maybe even a little tiny back bend when you inhale. And when you exhale, you're releasing. And next time you inhale, we're just coming to center. And you're looking right over your left leg slightly, and you're reaching for your left ankle with your left hand. Putting the right hand on the hip, and it feels a bit like you're just trying to pull the skin around your ankle towards your own left hip, and use your bicep strength and just start to pull your side body a little more towards that left thigh. And just see how far you want to go with that. Just a tiny little stretch. And then release. Let's come to the other side. So you're reaching down. You can just slide that right hand right down the leg till you get to the ankle. Left hand is on the hip. And then you're just going to start pulling and maybe bringing the right side body just a little closer to the right thigh. So you're not going to let your left sits bone get airborne. You're just going to keep, so you may not go very far, but just see what that's like. Long, slow breaths here. And then release. We're going to try it one more time to either side, and you may want to do the exact same thing we just did. If it doesn't feel like enough, you can tuck your index finger and middle finger underneath your ankle, bring the elbow to the floor, and reach over. And if that feels like too much, you're going to do the exact same thing we've just done. So just enjoy another little stretch, whichever version you would like. Now remember, your breath is really long and slow. And when you come out, especially just even holding it for 3 or 4 breaths, it can be much safer if you just sort of slowly windmill that upper arm, which is your right arm, to the floor, and then use the floor just to help walk you back safely with your hands. So we're going to do the same thing to the other side. So remember, you're either doing the first version or you're bringing the forearm and elbow to the floor and tucking the index finger and middle finger right underneath your Achilles tendon. So you choose, where are you right now and what feels really good. And whatever version, remember, you're going to try to have 3 long, slow breaths. And just let the exhale take away anything that you don't want. Releasing when you're ready. And from here, we're going to put our legs just slightly closer together with our soles of the feet to the floor. They're still a little bit separated. Hands are behind. And so from here, just rhythmically, as you exhale, you're going to bring both knees over to the left. And you're inhaling to center. And you're exhaling, knees over to the right. So just do this on your own breathing, just a couple of repetitions. And just check in with your breathing pattern. Just make sure it's long and slow and that you're not cutting off that exhale. So that wherever you are in this process, the next time your knees are over to the left, just pause there, a little more weight into the left hand, and then you can sweep the right hand and arm all the way across the midline of the body and let it meet the hand behind it. So you can arrange yourself to the best sort of twist you can get here, and you may want to leave your arms in a more extended position, or it may feel really good to come onto your forearms and release a little bit into this. Maybe you can even come further down. So what you're trying to do is have it be relaxing, but also don't lose the stretching twist aspect of the pose. So you'll need to find your way here, more or less, and keep it going so that you feel a little bit of a pull and a stretch in the right side body. Your face is relaxed. And remember, the breath always has priority. When you're ready to come up, you want a little weight into those elbows. You can safely come on back. Let's go side to side just a couple times again with the knees. So that the next time your knees are over to the right, we're going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to plant a little more weight into the right hand and arm. I'm going to sweep the left arm right back so that in front of the body, so that it meets behind you with level with the other hand. And then just slowly find your point where you can really enjoy the edge of this twist. Find your breath. And after you've had 3 or 4 breaths, let's all come out. So you want to take a little weight in your elbows and then your hands. And come right on out again. If it feels good, have another little side to side movement with the knees. Just make sure the low back is happy. And when you're ready, we're all going to come down to our reclining position. And again, your awareness is full on now. You're really feeling what it feels like to be in your body, to be lying on the floor. Maybe bring your feet off the floor and your knees suspended in the air a little bit towards the ceiling so that you can really feel your low back against the floor. And just have a few rhythmic breaths where you're exhaling and encouraging those knees closer in towards the body. And as you inhale, they can come away a little bit. And it's this rhythmic movement and really long full breaths and aligning that and your awareness that really helps the detoxing of the body, or that it's just a natural process that will happen, and it happens a lot better if we can really align these processes. And then let's widen the thighs a little bit and just do a little rocking side to side. And slowly come to stillness. And any little final movement or stretch you would like, please feel free to do that now. And final pose before we come into Shavasana, just a very brief little fish pose, Matsyasana it's called. So remember, your versions are either elbows close into the body, legs extended, and you're just rising up by pressing into the elbows. You're thinking your low back might rise up a little bit, but you're really trying to mindfully get the chest area to rise up if you can, just a little bit. It can be really, really subtle. And if you can hold it the entire time, or you can inhale and exhale out of that. And then, of course, you do know this version is probably just a little more advanced. You want to, if that's not enough, you'll want to bring your arms underneath you. My palms are actually at the very upper part of my thighs, but yours might be on your hips instead. Elbows are still pointing down, so that the next time you inhale, you can press into the elbows, and you're just trying to raise the head so the crown of the head can be on the floor. And with this, you really want to allow the broadening in your upper chest. So you're here, or you're here, and just find the pose that works for you right now. Your breath is really long and slow. And fish is a wonderful sort of reshaping pose in the same way that Sphinx is. So try to be in the pose and allow it for several breaths, and allow the breath to be extended as much as you can. And then slowly, in your own time, we're all just going to come into Shavasana from here. So once we're all in Shavasana, just start to focus on the breathing after you settle. And as you inhale long and slow, just like you've been doing all through the practice, I want you to think of the belly being soft on both the inhale and the exhale. So when you inhale, just think belly. And when you exhale, just think soft. Belly, soft. You want to try to really extend the breath as long as you can and soften the belly, each and every inhale and each and every exhale. So let's try this a few times. Just continue on. Nice, long, slow breaths. Belly soft on the inhale and belly soft on the exhale. And if you're not used to this kind of breathing, you might have to think about it a little bit. You're just trying to release all tension in your belly. Inhale, think belly. And exhale, think soft. Belly, soft. Continue just like this. And just know when you can find this type of breathing, you're really switching on the rest and restore part of your nervous system. But you're also directing the breath more to the sort of bottom of your lungs if you can extend the inhales, and it's really a deeper sort of breathing. So just see if you can be with this for a few more breaths. Belly, soft. Belly, soft. Belly, soft. And It's fine if you have thoughts. Thoughts are going to come and go, but just keep coming back to soft belly on the inhale and soft belly on the exhale. So remember, as always, you can continue with this for a little while longer if you'd like. Otherwise, the chime will indicate it's time for those of us who want to close, to come to seated. And for those of us who have come to the seated position, just as you're ready and you feel a little bit more grounded and focused, we'll all put our hands to our heart. Namaste. Thank you all. See you in the next video.